Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special Friday evening update with Douglas Now Live. I am, of course, Robert Preston Jr. It is still Friday the 13th, but we have, according to the clock on my computer here, 29 more minutes, and we will have this Friday the 13th behind us for 4 more weeks. Then we're going to have another one next next month, as we talked about. I got a couple of updates I want to give, and it's a little bit different setup. I'm going to do a couple of different things here tonight because when I left the house, I left my computer at home. And if I don't have my computer, then I'm limited a little bit technologically with what I can do here in the studio. But a couple of things I want to provide an update with. Of course, we were on Championship Watch earlier. Both the Coffee High men's and women's basketball teams were playing for region titles tonight. The girls won. The boys lost in overtime. So I want to cover that here in just a second. But before we do that, I do want to provide an update to a story that we mentioned earlier. We had announced the arrest of a Nichols man. GBI had arrested a gentleman from Nichols for sexual exploitation of children. There was another arrest in that investigation as well, and this is, I'm reading from a GBI press release. Same thing they put out regarding Mr. Sprinkle's arrest. But the GBI has arrested and charged Jonathan Dwayne Graham, age 31, of Broxton, with 5 counts of sexual exploitation of children. In November 2025, the GBI's special unit began an investigation into Graham's online activity after receiving a cyber tip line report from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children regarding the possible online possession and distribution of child sexual abuse material. The investigation led to a search of Graham's home and his subsequent arrest. The Coffee County Sheriff's Office, Decatur County Sheriff's Office, and the GBI's Regional Investigative Office in Douglas assisted with this investigation. Graham was arrested and booked into the Coffee County Jail, where he remains now. I'm going to show you a picture of Mr. Graham's mugshot. I have to do it on my telephone here. My scratched up, busted up telephone. But yes, so Jonathan Graham arrested, as well as Mr. Sprinkle, who we talked about earlier. So we're going to get a short story up here in a few minutes. I would have already done it, but once again, I left my computer at home, and all of this hit earlier tonight when I was away from the house. So again, and these are not the kind of stories we'd like to talk about, and I think it's probably worth mentioning here again. And we talk about this from time to time, and people don't listen. One of the things that happens with Facebook, with social media, is that what you see a lot of times, unless you go to the site or go to a site and look at it and read that site in its entirety, if you wait for updates from Facebook or whatever, you're only going to see what triggers your algorithm. So people will always tell us, and I get this all the time, and I've had a few sparring matches the last week or so about it, that we don't do positive stories. All we do arrest stories. And when we do arrest stories, there are only certain stories that we do and that kind of thing. And that's not true. It's absolutely not true. I haven't done an arrest story until today with Mr. Sprinkle, and now with Mr. Graham. I haven't done one in several days. Now I have several that I'm going to be getting to once our site comes back up, which should happen sometime tonight. It might not happen before I go to bed, but hopefully by in the morning it will. And I've got some other stories to update, but we've been very active on Facebook tonight. Again, our social media pages are still up. We're having problems with the actual website. But if you don't go to the website, and I encourage you to do this, go to DouglasNow.com when it comes back up, and you will see every story that we post. You will see the arrest stories. You will see the positive stories. You'll see the community announcements. You will see all of that. All right? And you can judge, you can get a true picture of what we do post. Now, there are some things, again, some announcements and flyers and stuff that we'll post on Facebook that may not be worthy enough. That's not the right word. It may not be sufficient enough for a full story. We put that on Facebook as well, short announcements, pictures, and 2 or 3 sentences, that kind of thing. But you actually need to go to both, to our Facebook page and look at the Douglas Now Facebook page in its entirety. And you need to look at the DouglasNow.com website in its entirety. And then you will see exactly what it is that we do and see the positive stories along with the negative stories. But what you will also see is that nobody, and I mean that figuratively, but I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that really nobody reads the positive stories. We may get a couple hundred views on a positive story, but we can write about some simple street level meth bust or some, an auto accident. It doesn't even have to be a serious crash, just a couple cars that collided somewhere, and broken glass and blue lights, and people read it. You'll get several thousand views on that. So again, we do a lot of positive stories. We did a long story on Dominic Membang yesterday. All right. It's an 11 or 1,200 word story. Couple problems with that. Again, people don't like to read positive stories. One, it's too long. Nobody wants to sit there. You open it up, you click on it, and you see all those words, and that's, it's a lot of words. I don't know that I want to read that. It'd take you, 6 or 7, 8 minutes to read the story. People don't want to do that. But I think it's important to put those stories out there because it needs to be on the record, and we need to celebrate people's achievements. That's why we do those positive stories. And it takes a long time. It took a while. It took several days to compile Dominic's story. And then once I had the information, then I had to put it together in a format that you could read. And that took most of a morning. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. But I think it's important to do it. But the fact of the matter is most people would rather read a 175-word story about a drug bust or sexual exploitation of children arrest or something like that. Take a look at it. Because the website's down, so you can't read the story. But let's just take a look at, just for example, what's on social media. So I've got to scroll past all of our stuff. So we get to Mr. Sprinkle's arrest, Matthew Lee Sprinkle, and because the website's down, I can't get a story posted. So I did an abbreviated announcement with the mugshot. We got 134 comments, 96 shares, 300 reactions. So let's scroll down here to Dominic's story because it's still on Facebook. It's not on the web. You can't see it on the website, but you can still take a look at it here on Facebook. 35 comments, 23 shares, 181 reactions. The reactions is not bad, but you got 35 comments and 23 shares on a positive story. A young man who was a Coca-Cola scholar, been accepted to Harvard, wants to go into international law, human rights preservation and protection and that kind of thing. Very, very impressive young man. One of the most impressive young men I've ever met. And this is what you get. You got 35 comments on that story, and then sexual exploitation of children, you got 135 or 149 or whatever it was. So people ask, do we do positive stories? We absolutely do positive stories. We do a lot of them. But the reason most people don't know that we do positive stories is because most people don't read it. And that's fine if that's not what you want to read, but don't jump on the bandwagon with telling us that we don't do positive stuff. We do a lot of positive stuff because I do like my community and I want to support my community and support those organizations and individuals and churches and institutions and what have you that make a difference in our community. I like to celebrate people's successes, not their failures. But you can look at the numbers and see that when we put stories out there, most people would rather read about someone's failures than they would someone's successes. Speaking of successes, and I've mentioned this before, it's one of the reasons I like sports. Coffee High girls defeated Lee County tonight, 60-50. The girls led 11-5 after the end of the first quarter. At halftime, Lee County had clawed back a little bit. I almost said the Trojans, Lady Trojans, but Lee County Lady Trojans too. But Coffee had a 23-20 lead at the half. They came back out in the third quarter, and they stepped on the gas a little bit, pulled ahead 45-31, ended up winning 60-50. They did the postseason awards. Now we had some, we had a lot on the boys and girls side. We had a lot of all-region players, first team, second team, honorable mention. We're going to get that out. Okay, so I'm not going to give an exhaustive list right now. I'm going to hit a couple of highlights, but we're going to get all that stuff out. We're going to compile all this information here and get that to you here in a little bit. But the Coach of the Year, Tasha Kellogg, Coffee. Of course, the Coach of the Year is always the region champion, the coach of the region champion team. So Coach Kellogg, Coach of the Year, second year in a row. And we had the co-defensive player of the year in Lakener Edwards. All right, and then we had a lot of others. So I know there were a lot of our players on first team, second team, and honorable mention all region. We will recognize you. So congratulations to the girls. A phenomenal game, and I'm going to show you a picture. There's a picture if you scroll down a little bit. Again, because I can't print my pictures, but if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see I was posting pictures and updates throughout the game, both boys and girls. But these are the girls with Coach Kellogg right here. So anyway, it was a good game. It was a fun game to watch. And congratulations again, region champions, 2 years in a row, back to back. Boys, I mentioned this in our video earlier. The boys have played Houston County twice this year, and Houston County had beaten us badly both times, 16 in one game, by 21 in another game. It's very difficult to beat a team 3 times in a row, to beat a good team. Two really good teams play each other. It's hard for one of those teams to win 3 in a row. Houston jumped out to a 16-10 lead at the end of the first quarter. At halftime, the Trojans had clawed their way back and were up by 1, 29-28. Had a 3-point lead at the end of the third quarter, 45-42. And then in the fourth quarter, it ended tied 53. Less than a minute to go, we had a 53-51 lead. Houston scored and tied it at 53. We had an opportunity. I put a video up in one of the comments below the scoreboard at the end of at the end of regulation, that shows we had a look from the corner, and there were 0.2 of a second left. We inbounded the ball with 0.2 of a second left. I want to say I looked. If I'm wrong, somebody put this in the comments, but I believe it was number 13, Timothy Stone, who took that last shot, and it was so close. It was so close. And I know those kids are going to replay that over and over. It was a good look. It was a good shot. It just didn't go in. So we go into overtime, tied at 53, and then Houston County, they're a really good team. They could shoot from anywhere on the court, and they found another gear in overtime and pulled ahead and won 64-54. Xavier Littleton had 24 points, I believe. Kylick Polk had 15 points, I think. And up on the girls' side, Lexi Bradford had 18 points. Jasmine Porter had 15 points. And Aria Polk had 13 points in their win. But in the all-region, again, we had several all-region players. But newcomer of the year, Xavier Littleton, was named that. He sort of burst on the scene and made a significant impact all year long. He's a really good player. And you're going to hear more about him in basketball and also in football. He is a highly sought-after football player already, even though he is quite young, and he's a big kid. He's a good-looking kid, good basketball player. We're going to see a lot from him on the football field this year as well. So what's next for the Trojans, for both teams? Both are in the state playoffs, and both will host a first-round game. So if you were unable to see the Trojans play tonight, or if what happened tonight has piqued your interest and you would like to watch them play, you have another opportunity. So both the boys and girls will play in the state tournament and will host a game here. Not sure who they're going to be playing or when those games will be. There was some talk that maybe around February 24th. So, roughly a week and a half or so. And they were saying at the game tonight that there's a possibility that they could both play on the same night. So, again, you could have a doubleheader at home in the state playoffs the way that we did tonight with the region tournament. So yeah, it was a fun night. I went out to the game. I haven't been able to get to the basketball game this whole year. I was able to go tonight and watch both of those games, and it was a lot of fun. It really is. These kids are good. They're well coached. Of course, the boys coach, Purnell Smith, he's been at it a long time. But Coach Smith and Coach Kellogg do a phenomenal job. These kids are well coached. They played well. They play the right way, and they represented their school, their community, and their families very well tonight. And the Trojans, the men's team, really played strong. It was tough, but and you look at how we played in the first couple of games. They really stepped it up tonight. They were motivated and gave themselves a chance, and that's what you want. At the end of the day, you want to do two things. You want to play as hard as you can. You hear all the cliches about leaving everything on the field, leaving everything on the court. That's what you want to do, but you also want to give yourself an opportunity to win, and that's what the Trojans did tonight. And their season's not over. So, as much of a heartbreak as it is, and you could see the look on their faces when it was over with. I mean, it felt terrible for the kids. And they don't want to hear that they did a good job. They don't want to hear that they played well. They don't want all the things I just said about representing their families well. They don't want to hear that. Okay, they don't care about that. All they're worried about is the fact that they did not win that game. But the kids played well, and they should be very proud of the performance that they had. They should be very proud of the position they put themselves in, the opportunities they had. They did a good job. Sometimes you come up a little bit short. You got to tip your hat to Houston County. They played a really good game, and when they needed to do it in overtime, they stepped up and they went on a good run. They hit some incredible shots. There's a couple of those shots you look at and you see them make them. You're like, if you're going to make that, you're probably going to win. If you make shots like that, you're gonna win, and that's what happened tonight. But it was a good effort. It was fun. It was a good way to spend a Friday night. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Let's take a look at our tower cam, like we do when we end all of our shows. And some people ask me, why do you do a tower cam? Because we can. It's been up there for several years, and we didn't use it, so it's there. We want to use it. It's getting cold outside. It'll be cold in the morning, but it should be a nice day tomorrow. Since we're already breaking protocol and scrolling on our phone, let's check I have not checked the weekend weather. I think it's going to be pretty good, but I haven't checked it. Yeah, it's going to be high in the upper 60s tomorrow, low in the 30s, in the high 30s tomorrow morning. So it's going to be chilly when we wake up. A little bit of cloud cover. Sunday, rain. Monday, rain. It's going to be a little bit warmer. Lows in the low 50s, and then highs again up in the high 60s, low 70s. Sun will be back out Tuesday, and then we ought to have some pretty good weather. Chance of rain next Sunday. What is it on Sundays and rain here lately? What is it on Sundays and rain? I don't like that. Sundays are rough days anyway. I'm always tired. I drag a little bit on Sundays. When it rains, it makes it even worse. I am quite unmotivated to do anything at all on Sunday but lay around and do nothing. So anyway, might get a little bit of rain this Sunday, and then also rain in the forecast potentially for next Sunday. So again, good way to end the day. One region championship, region runner-up, home state playoff games here in a couple of weeks. Congratulations, Trojans. Thank you for what you have done this season. It's not over yet. Let's make a deep playoff run. Let's keep talking about basketball for a while. We already got baseball started. Let's keep that overlap. Let's keep that overlap going for a while. It's a lot of fun. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful night. In 10 minutes, a little less than 10 minutes, maybe 9.5 minutes, people who are superstitious like me can breathe a sigh of relief. Friday the 13th will be over. Y'all have a wonderful night. If nothing happens this weekend, you will not see me again. Hopefully, y'all stay with us with the Douglas Now website. we've had some correspondences with our tech folks here, and we believe that the site will be back up here sometime tonight. Hopefully, most definitely by in the morning. And we are continuing to analyze this to make sure this does not happen. This is quite annoying and quite aggravating, and we're struggling along with it. So, but again, the good news is sites that don't get much traffic don't get targeted. So this is part of the growing pains and part of the growing process as we continue to grow and our network continues to expand, because it is, and it is because of you, and we appreciate it. So bear with us. We'll have these issues fixed. Y'all have a wonderful night. We'll see you next time.